Before we go to sleep, I'd like to share a bedtime story. This happened the other day, actually. So I went to bed and I had this dream. I was walking down a sidewalk. I forgot where I was walking, but I tripped and I fell inside a hole. And I was falling and falling and falling until there came a point where I just wasn't falling anymore. I couldn't see anything, not even myself, and I tried to look at my hands, but I couldn't. I was starting to become one with the hole. I became one with all of it. And I wasn't even inside a hole anymore. And the energy, I started to feel it. I was starting to feel what I was becoming. And it felt so liberating, but it never ended. I never ended. But I also never began in the first place. Everything was just a part of me. It was all me. That's all I could feel. That was the scariest feeling I've ever felt. And it felt so terrifying, but it felt like the truth. And then I started to think, time isn't real. Numbers aren't real. Units don't actually exist. If you look at science and try to observe the smallest unit, you can't, because it doesn't exist. It's an illusion, because once you have the smallest thing, there's always something smaller than that. So when does it end? And then I realized again that it never began. I was in a loop. I was trapped. And the energy, it wasn't energy anymore. There wasn't a name for it. For me, the closest thing I'd call it is eternity. Nothingness. And I couldn't get out. There was no form of escape. I couldn't move anything because I was everything, obviously, but what exactly was I getting out of if I was both the outside and the inside? How do I leave? How do I detach myself from the whole and become my own separate self again? I didn't want to feel me anymore. I needed to feel something else. And then I remembered the reason why I came here, to this hole. I came here to die, but I was living to forget that fact. The fact that I couldn't die. So I tried to forget. I tried to forget where I was and what I was facing. So I used the only thing I had left to escape, which was my imagination. I imagined light. I imagined a place I wanted to be in. I was nothing, so I imagined something. I created shape, form, movement, anything I could think of. And I was now in space. But I wasn't in space, I was space. And the only way I knew that was because of the lights everywhere, which I essentially was. I made the lights to tell me something. I used them as a means of navigation in a dark place. I created a community of houses and conscious forms, something that would make me think I had other things besides myself, because I'm lonely. And then I saw the beginning of my own life. I made myself. I created myself. I did this before. In the nature, the plants, the animals, I made it all. They're everywhere. They're all around me. I made them everywhere so they could remind me every so often why I created this paradise for myself. I created things separate from myself so I could feel not so alone, to share myself, to feel loved, because I am all I am, if that makes sense. And then I woke up and it was a wild dream, but at the end of the day, it's just in my imagination. Anyway, I hope you guys listened. Are you listening? Ricky? Erica? Anything? Hello? Speak your mind? Do something? Dance? No?